Hi, this is Dr. Julie Gilbert coming at you live from my new location, my new office. And so a little late, but better late than never. So, hello, and thanks for joining us on What's for Dinner. Um, so, we are nearing the end of our conversation um, through Michael Pollan. By myself, by the way. My husband might duck in here for a second, but I'm not by myself. What am I talking about? Maisie's joining me. Hi, Maisie. And Rosie's there. Hi, Rosie. And you can see the rest of our beautiful new location. And anyway, uh, what I was saying was we were talking about Michael Pollan's Food Rules, and we're on chapter 62. That's amazing. Chapter couple more chapters. Rachel will be joining us again next week. We'll look forward to having her back. But in the meantime, we're just moving on. Right. So it says plant a vegetable garden if you have the space, a window box if you don't. What does growing some of your own food have to do with repairing your relationship to food and eating? Well, it gets your hands in the dirt, right? There's just something about growing your own food. It feels it's so productive. It's just so life giving. Exciting to put a plant in the pot or into the ground and or not a plant, a seed. Well, sometimes it's a seedling or a start, but a seed in the ground and then this beautiful, delicious vegetable or fruit comes out of it, and it's exciting to watch. It can be a lot of hard work. We've done different size gardens for the last several years. Last year, they didn't do a huge at my father-in-law's house. Is a beautiful property and beautiful, rich soil. Um, and we planted beans, things that we've never, and corn and potatoes and tomatoes and different varieties of tomatoes and onions and garlic and peppers and it was a gorgeous garden. It was a lot of work though, and sometimes I'm just so excited bending the soil and planting the seed, and I'm all in, and starting to water, and sometimes I just kind of run out of steam though with pulling the weeds and making sure that it's getting watered and tending to the pests and the bugs. The potatoes that one year when we went to harvest them, so discouraging because it seems like there was a vole or a mole, or I don't know what you call those things. And then it went to the next potato, it took a bite of that. And then it munched on the next potato. So, I mean, we had like 200 pounds of potatoes, and not all of them were damaged, but half of them were not even half eaten, but just a little bite into them. And I'm like, gosh, silly varmints. Um, but anyway, we've had different luck, different years with different kinds of vegetables, but it's here I grew eggplant. It was so fun, and I always try to grow some herbs, fresh basil or cilantro, thyme or oregano, sage. We have and now across the street, I should take you over there. We've just got the weeds are herbs, So Kenny just keeps planting, and then they spread and propagate, and those herbs a lot of times come back as perennials. So it's just so fun. It's like, oh, I'll be right back, and have a fresh handful of rosemary. Now, last year I didn't do a big garden because I had other things going on, but I enjoyed the CSA down the street, or friends who have gardens and are so generous. Oh, by the way, zucchini, yeah, that's an easy one, and you can do so much with zucchini. But your gardens, if you have them, probably are flourishing, and you're harvesting your labor, and getting your hands in the dirt is so good for your microbiome to eat that, so local. You're getting the bacteria from the dirt, and then you're growing that local food, and it's just something so life-giving, like I said, and great growing your own food. I have patients who have, they live in a smaller apartment and they have container gardens. It's amazing what you can grow in your balcony even. So tomatoes and strawberries and peppers and all kinds of herbs. And you can get so creative growing them up or growing them down and hanging them. And so there's just so many different ways to utilize even small spaces for growing your own produce. So, and it really gives, it, and, to his point here, it really shows the value you're investing, your time, a little money, your energy, and it shows the value of the food versus, unfortunately, the industrial food is cheap, convenient, easy. And when you transition to eating whole and real food and growing it yourself, you're raising the quality on the food that you're putting in your body. You're saying, hey, the cheap stuff isn't good enough for me anymore. I'm going to gift my body with whole and real and healthy food. So you don't have to grow it yourself. If you have time, and next year, or I have a neighbor. She's got a huge. She's 90 years old, and her favorite things to do is go through the seed magazines and pick out which heirloom variety she's going to do for next year. And a neighbor who has a greenhouse and can start the beans and the tomatoes and the zucchini and the cucumbers, and she's so happy and generous to give them. So I'm blessed to have a neighbor that loves to garden and has a green thumb and is good at it, and learned so much from her. My husband has a green thumb. He does a lot of his plants right near the edge of the water, so that he doesn't have the roots find the water. And we've got a little lake across the street. It's a tiny little lake. It's called Meridian Lake. It's not really a lake, but anyway, there's water there. And so some things do really well, other things don't. So it's been fun for him to experiment and try different vegetables and things like that. But anyway, yeah, I always think next year I'm going to do more. This year, there's something came up, like moving my practice, that got in the way a little bit. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Well, what's for dinner? What's for dinner for us? I'm not gonna. We okay. If you could be here, smell. This is going to be funny. I have to be really careful about what I cook because my new office is next. Those smells kind of carry, so I'm going to make sure I'm cooking good stuff. I came home through the new office door, and there was an odor, and it was some fish that had gotten away from us, and it's kind of back in the fridge. Have you ever had this happen to you? And it got kind of forgotten, and my husband tried to salvage it, but obviously it was not good, and I could tell as soon as I walk in the house. So anyway, I don't know what, so we're going to figure something else out. But I always have a go-to if I can't figure out what I'm going to eat. I'm not afraid to whip up an omelet that from pasture chicken eggs, has excellent quality protein that your body can absorb and utilize really easily. And then the yolk has omega-3 fats, and cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern unless you're very few that have familial hypercholesterolemia. But so if I don't have a plan, my default is eggs, and they never disappoint because I can make them any which way, and always add some vegetables to them. So, all right. Well, next week we're going to be live again from here and maybe showing off a little bit more of our place. But Rachel will be joining us again, and we'll be excited talking through what's next as far as what book we're going to be highlighting. So, all right. Well, until next week, have a great rest of your day and stay healthy. All right. Bye. Oh, next Monday is Labor Day, so I'll have to figure that out.